All right, we're walking up.
Abortion is a word that's just, how can I say, it's become too common, and people don't understand the procedures that are used in order to stop the life of a baby inside the mom.
Okay. What are those procedures? What are those misconceptions that you believe are going on?
Well, one of them is dismemberment, and that's referred to as a D&C abortion, not just a D&C, okay? So the baby, in a case like that, the limbs are, I'm just being blunt.
Yeah,
The baby is dismembered and decapitated, sometimes disemboweled. It's not a pretty sight. If more people understood what abortion does, and the danger to the mother too, because the mothers can have infection from these procedures. And one of the things that I wish more people would know also is that abortionists make more money. The bigger the baby is, the more money the abortionists make.
Give me a fist pump. Yeah. I would like to ask you, why are you here today at the City of Celina Administration Building?
Well, Created Equal supports the Sanctuary Cities for the Unborn ordinance. We've been on the front lines of this thing since it began in Ohio, since June. And so I initially made some phone calls here to some local pastors to get it going. And now we're going to have our second reading tonight of the ordinance.
Okay. And what exactly does this ordinance entail? Could you give some details on that?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. It just bans abortion within the city limits of Celina. That's it. And it makes it a punishable, in effect, when it's signed into law, and it has what's called a right of private action, which means the actual enforcement mechanism is private citizens, not the government. And that's why it has been able to sustain any kind of legal challenges so far.
Do you have anything else to say? Anything?
Hey, listen, we're looking for a affirmative vote tonight, which will be in the second reading. Then the third reading will be at the next City Council, and hopefully, if they pass it then, it'll go into effect.
Anything to add?
No, man, local communities like Celina need to take ownership over this. We can't look to the federal government, can't look to the Supreme Court anymore. It's got to be done locally. That's why you look at all these people. It's crazy. We got like 300 people out here today. It's amazing. It's awesome.
Your independent media means you're on Facebook.
Sir, we're not on Facebook.
Where are you transferred to then?
We're on YouTube, sir.
YouTube. What's the difference?
Oh yeah. Oh. Yeah. Okay, we're done.
You know, for myself, I believe it's a God-given right to life. You look at even our founding fathers that they understood that, and government's job, their primary role as government is to protect life. And it's something that the founding fathers understood, and it's something that's not just about them, though. It's about the Bible. I mean, we understand that the Bible even speaks to the fact that Jesus came to give life and life more abundantly. And so when you're looking at the idea of abortion, it goes against everything of who God is and who we are as Americans.
We're fighting for that right to life. We believe this is a moral issue, that abortion is murder, and somebody needs to stand up for them. And then people will say that this community is too small to make a stand, but small communities like ours can make a complete and utter difference in this world, and that's what we're trying to do today.
But just reiterate, I think on the abortion issue, it's just a consistency thing. All life is important. Back in older times, it was a thing where the black lives in the slavery, it was a lesser than a human. The church came out and said that's wrong and threw away with that. The Jews, they were seen as lesser than human. And once again, it took the church to go and say this is wrong, this is human. And even in the unborn, their location is different, their size is different, and that does not make them lesser than a human. It's just a consistency thing. In order to say life starts here and this here past that is just some cells, there's no consistency in any one of them arguments, and just in that, you can't agree to any of that.
How do you guys feel about when pro-choice people bring up the woman's right? How do you guys feel about that? Because I don't think any of you guys really touched on that.
So, the argument that it's a woman's right and it's her body, the question that I would ask back to that is, when an abortion is conducted, for the woman, what part of her body is taken out and removed? Do you know?
The baby.
The baby, which is what? A totally different body, isn't it?
I'm unbiased.
Yeah.
So the other idea is, when we talked about women's rights and having choice, the idea that someone is actually a victim. Well, when we're taking away, abortion's actually the only place that the victim's the only one that's punished for the crime.
If somebody is my neighbor, they are a separate body, and because they are making my life miserable does not give me any right to remove theirs. And that seems to be the consistent thing with pro-choice, is my body, my choice. If I keep this baby, then my whole life changes. It's an inconvenience and all this, and it's just not consistent.
A lot of times people will say or give the argument of, well, what about rape? What about incest? They shouldn't have to, to carry that child. We have to remember that less than 2% of abortions are that case of rape and incest. The other 98% is simply because of, my happiness. It's my choice. I get to do what I want to do with my body, and that's not acceptable. As bad and as awful as those things are, and we're not making those, we're not saying those aren't important or those aren't horrific. Those are horrible instances. But even in that, you hear stories of people who had those children, and those children became to be productive and effective people in society. So even though that's a terrible situation, there's plenty of options of how you can effectively, give that child to adoption if that's something that you don't want to carry. Now, if the woman's at danger and there's a very high risk of her dying in the pregnancy, that's another whole situation, but that's not called abortion. Okay, and we have to be able to separate those things. And even in those situations, I've heard of plenty of stories where women who are considering abortion, when they even had the child, even though there could be possible dangers, they both ended up fine, mother and child. So it's important that they get second opinions on those and not just run to the abortion mill and say, all right, well, I'm in danger, so I got to take the child out.
Yeah, what is your opinion on millennials?
All in all, pretty great. Yeah, I like them. Yeah, I don't have an issue with them.
How do you feel about them starting up these quirky craft beer bars?
I don't know. I feel like we have enough bars out there. I doubt that they can be that innovative.
On to the courthouse now. Let's get some pro-choice opinions. We got some pro-life opinions. Let's get some pro-choice now. Why are you here tonight at the Celina Administration Building?
So, I grew up in Celina. I've lived here all my life, and I can't imagine not having access to reproductive health care here in my hometown. So I'm here to uphold reproductive health care access and let the city officials know that this is a state and federal level issue and really just not something that is meant for city government.
How do you feel about a woman's choice? How do you feel about a baby's right to live? Go on with your opinion.
So it's not really about how I feel about abortion, because it's how each individual person feels and what they need to do in their life.
Okay. What do you feel about a woman's choice?
It's each individual's right to healthcare privacy in the 14th Amendment, and it is their it's their right to make that choice between them and their doctor.
Watch Dune. Watch Dune. Watch Dune. It's got the cool sandworm. It's got the spice. It's got everything you need. Go ahead.
I'm here today because I want to stand and speak up for the unborn. There's a lot of people that are speaking against the unborn, and they don't have a choice. And I think it's interesting that pro-choice people leave out the unborn. They don't give the unborn a choice. Even though, someone can say, well, I should have a choice. Well, not in everything. Would you say you have a choice to kill another human being that is on the street like me? Would you think that you would have that choice because you feel like it? I believe that this is God's choice to create life and eventually to see when it ends. And we don't have that choice as human beings. Our mind and understanding of this world is so finite compared to Almighty God, who has the understanding of how to make every situation work out for good.
Oh, that's a nice car. That's a real nice car. That's a nice car. Oh yeah. Oh.
With respect to your second question about what can government do, well, we know that the government has laws are there in place to, we hear all the time that you can't legislate morality, but that's exactly what every law does. And so just as we have laws that prevent you and I from being killed at this stage of our development, we should have laws in the books that protect you and I from being killed at our earlier stage of development as well.
As a physician, I believe in the Hippocratic Oath, and one of the things Hippocrates clearly states is physicians are not here to kill people or provide abortions for women. So that's why I'm here, to help those, to protect those. If you're willing to kill a child, pretty soon you're willing to kill anybody who gets in your way. That's why I'm here.
Let's investigate some rocks, shall we? This is the cast right here. This is the cast. Got the whole cast here.
I'm not pro-life. I just want to protect the innocent. It's literally the most innocent life ever. Because I'm for the death penalty, so I'm not pro-life. That's just a political thing that someone throws on you, right? They just throw crap at you, like, oh, you're just a political, you're in that category. I'm not in really any category. I just like to protect the most innocent life. Did I just stump you? Got no questions really now.
Sorry, when you brought up the death penalty, it was funny to me. I don't know.
Well, because that's what a lot of people are like. You're pro-life, but you believe in the death penalty. Well, I'm not really pro-life.
Why is Metallica the best band?
Oh my gosh, just because they came out with Enter Sandman, Nothing Else Mattered. Oh my, you just cruise and listen to them all day and all night. It's great. And my wife doesn't like them, so it makes them that much better.
Why are you out here tonight?
To support the bill coming from in front of the City Council. I want them all to vote yes, and I know there's some minds that need changed. I'm not in the city limits though, so I guess tonight I'm just here for support.
How do you feel about pineapples on pizza?
That is disgusting and that is wrong, and it's not as bad as abortion, but it's next on the list.
Just walk. Just walk.
I bet they glued it.
There's no way. There's no way they glued. Okay, here we go. Oh. Let's eat some cashews. Okay, we're putting these back.